In the winter of 1828, the city of Edinburgh faced a darkness it had never imagined, not from thieves, not from plague, but from two ordinary men who discovered a horrifying way to make money by selling the bodies of their victims to science. This is the true story of William Burke and William Hare, the men who turned murder into a business. In the early 19th century, Edinburgh was the center of medical science in Europe. Doctors needed human bodies to teach anatomy, but the law only allowed the use of corpses from criminals who died by execution. And there simply weren't enough. So a new profession emerged: the resurrectionists, men who dug up fresh graves and sold bodies to medical schools under the cover of darkness. It was illegal, but profitable, and it created a market that Burke and Hare would soon exploit. William Burke and William Hare were Irish immigrants trying to survive on odd jobs and cheap whiskey. They weren't grave robbers, they weren't killers. Not yet. Their first opportunity came by accident. In 1827, a tenant in Hare's boarding house died owing rent. A debt of £4, a small fortune at the time. Rather than report the death, they removed the body, stuffed it in a barrel, and carried it across the city. Dr. Robert Knox, a famous anatomist, paid them £7.10, far more than they expected. At that moment, they realized something. Bodies were valuable, but waiting for people to die naturally took too long. The men discovered a method that would later be known simply as Burking, a technique with no blood, no marks, no struggle. Burke would sit on the victim's chest, covering the mouth and nose. Hare would hold down the arms and legs until life slipped away. Their victims were the forgotten people of society. Poor, lonely travelers, alcoholics, people who wouldn't be missed. But soon, they grew bolder. One victim was a 12-year-old boy, another a local woman everyone knew as Daft Jamie. The disappearance shook the neighborhood, and the fear began. Every time the bodies arrived, Dr. Knox, the brilliant, ambitious anatomist, paid quickly and asked no questions, but whispers began to spread. Students noticed that some cadavers looked too fresh, too healthy, not like people who died of sickness. Still, money blinded everyone. Until the night of October 31st, 1828. Burke and Hare murdered a woman named Margaret Docherty. But this time, neighbors overheard the struggle. When Burke left the room, the neighbors sneaked inside. Under a pile of straw, they found the woman's lifeless body. The city exploded in outrage. Burke and Hare were arrested, but the police had a problem. No witnesses, no physical evidence, and Dr. Knox refused to speak, so authorities made a deal. They granted immunity to William Hare if he testified against Burke. Betrayed by his partner, Burke was found guilty and sentenced to death. On January 28, 1829, he was hanged before a crowd of thousands. His body, in a twist of dark irony, was sent to a medical school for dissection. Dr. Knox, he was never charged, but his reputation was destroyed, and he quietly left Edinburgh. The Burke and Hare murders forced Britain to rethink its laws. In 1832, the Anatomy Act allowed doctors legal access to bodies, ending the black market forever. But the story remains a chilling reminder. When science becomes desperate and society stops watching, even ordinary men can become monsters. If you'd like more dark historical stories like this, make sure to subscribe